Yo, what is up guys? Ethan here, back with another video, and today we return with college football predictions. As today we'll be looking into Penn State. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button, I would really appreciate it. And as we head into this season, Penn State is one of the most hyped up teams, and it's kind of obvious why. They had a big recruiting class a few years ago, and tons of these guys are now starting. That's led by QB Drew Aller, as last year he was behind the senior Sean Clifford, and Sean Clifford was very inconsistent and just wasn't as good as we thought he would be last year. Drew Aller has a ceiling through the roof, and Penn State fans are excited, so I'm not sure how Drew Aller is going to be. We know he has the mechanics. It's just all going to be down to how accurate it's going to be with this offensive line. And talking about offensive line, this offensive line is going to be better than it was last season, and that is led by Olu Fashanu returning at left tackle. He's one of, if not the best left tackles in all college football, so him returning is only going to help Drew Aller just get used to things starting at the collegiate level. And you also have tons of returning production on the offensive line, and you also have some true freshmen coming in, like five-star Javen Williams and Alec Birchmeier coming in. So those guys are going to be really good. So this Penn State has a few question marks on the offensive line, but with the depth alone, I think this offensive line is going to be perfectly fine, and Drew Aller is going to have a lot of protection in his first year. But the main thing about this offense is this running back room. Nick Singleton and Katron Allen were both true freshmen last season. They both started last season, and they both balled out. Nick Singleton is probably going to be your favorite, but these two split carries, so this is a crazy duo. And now you adding Trey Potts from the transfer portal. He's coming in from Minnesota. He was pretty good in Minnesota, so that's a three-headed monster the Nittany Lions has in this running game. So this is primarily going to be a run-heavy offense up in Happy Valley. The receiving corps might be the only question mark with this offense. You do lose your top two receivers from last season in Parker Washington and Mitchell Tinsley, but you go out in the transfer portal, you get Dante Cephas coming in from Penn State. He had somewhat of a disappointing 2022 year, but in 2021 he was an absolute monster for the Golden Flashes, so I'm expecting him to return to that level and just help out these young guys that are in this room. You also have Keandre Lambert-Smith coming in. He's probably going to be your number one slot receiver, so he's going to help out as well. And then you also have a few guys coming in, like Malik McClain coming in from Florida State, and also have a few guys returning, like Amari Evans for his sophomore season, and Harrison Wallace III. But going on to this defense, that's what the main thing is with this defense. There is depth all across the board. The main thing is probably this defensive line. And it's not only experienced, but it's very, very talented. Chop Robinson is a fantastic edge rusher. Devon Ellis, Hakeem Beeman, and Adisa Isaac all return this season. So this defensive line for the Nittany Lions is going to be phenomenal. And this linebacking core is even better as well. Abdul Carter was a very surprising impact last season, as he was second in tackles. So he's your top returning tackles leader. And then alongside of him, you also have Curtis Jacobs. And then you have also Tyler Elston. So this linebacking core is super good as well. In the secondary, you do lose a guy in Joey Porter Jr. due to the NFL draft. But you still have Kalen King as your main corner. And I think he was a little undershadowed because of how prominent and good Joey Porter is. Kalen King is just as good. And you also have tons of experience returning in the secondary, like Johnny Dixon, like Daquan Hardy, like Jalen Reed, Keaton Ellis, Colin Dinkins, Cam Miller. I can just keep on going. This Penn State team has the talent to be a college football playoff contender, but as we hop into this schedule, let's see if they can truly be a college football playoff contender. Week 1, you host West Virginia, and I'm not a big fan of West Virginia at all. I've never been a big fan of Neil Brown to begin with, so to be honest, Neil Brown could potentially be fired before October even starts, depending on how West Virginia really is. I'll get more into that once my Big 12 predictions come out, but I'm just trying to say this is going to be a very easy win for Penn State, especially since this game's at home. Next game, you host Delaware. Delaware might be one of the best FCS teams. They're not one of the best teams, period. Penn State should handle Delaware relatively easily. Then you head into conference play, and it's a very tricky week 1 game at Illinois. This reminds me a lot of Penn State's first game last season at Purdue. And I think this is going to be shockingly close. I think this is going to be Drew Allar's first true test at quarterback. Illinois has one of the best defenses in the Big Ten, and I think that defensive line is going to actually pressure Drew Allar a lot more. But I think because of Illinois' offense being somewhat unreliable, especially since the loss of Chase Brown, and Penn State's defense being the main focal point of this team, I'm going to have Penn State winning a very close game on the road. Next game, you host Iowa, and I really like Iowa this year. I think they're getting a little bit disrespected in my personal opinion with the media, but I think Penn State's going to be able to handle Iowa at home, especially since this is a primetime game on CBS. Give me Penn State at home. Next game, you're at Northwestern. I really don't see Northwestern winning a conference game this year, especially with all this Pat Fitzgerald stuff that's come out very recently. Give me Penn State to win this game on the road. Then you have a bye week, and then you host UMass. UMass is not going to be a challenge for the Nittany Lions. Give me Penn State at home. And then you go into Columbus to face Ohio State, and this is a 50-50 game. You already know how I am with these games. I'm going to take Ohio State to win a very close game. Ohio State has always had James Franklin's number, if you exclude 2016, of course. It's just a tough game. If Penn State was home, I would probably take Penn State, but I think Ohio State's defense is going to be wrecking havoc in this game. Give me the Buckeyes at home. Now, if you have Penn State winning this game, I 100% understand, because of the three-headed monster running back now. I can very easily see Penn State going into Columbus and winning. They've done it before very closely. They've lost, but I think this could be the year if Penn State does it. But I'm just going to play the safe card. I'm going to take Buckeyes at home. Next week, you host Indiana, and to be honest, Indiana is just as bad as Northwestern. Well, I'm not going to say just as bad. Northwestern's pretty bad, but either way, Penn State's going to handle Indiana. Next game, you're at Maryland, and I've actually seen quite a few people actually take Maryland in this game, but I'm going to be honest. Just like how I said the Buckeyes had Penn State's number, Penn State has always had Maryland's number. This might be a little bit closer than the past few years, but I'm going to take Penn State to win this game. Maryland's defense a little bit iffy, especially since you lost Deonte Banks due to the NFL. I'm going to take Penn State to win this tough game on the road, as you have a big-time game at home hosting Michigan. And to be honest, I think Michigan and Penn State are very similar. They're a ground and pound offense with a really good defense. But I'm going to take Michigan in this game because just like the Ohio State, Michigan has had Penn State's number the last few years. Michigan is also more experienced than Penn State. If you have Penn State winning this game, I would not be surprised. Penn State's a really good team. I just have to take Michigan in this game. Next game, you host Rutgers. Rutgers, I think, is getting a little bit underappreciated in the media, but just because of that, that's not going to be a reason I take Rutgers to win. Give me Penn State at home. In the final game, you play Michigan State. This is in Ford Field in Detroit. I don't know why they did this. NBC, you're kind of stupid for that. But Sparty's not going to be that good this year. I'm going to be honest with you. Give me Penn State to win this on the road, as Penn State finishes the season 10-2 with their only losses versus Michigan and Ohio State. Now, you could very easily go 12-0. Also, if things don't play out, not only will you lose to Michigan and Ohio State, you could lose to a team like Illinois, like Iowa, or like Maryland. So the ceiling for this team's 12-0. The floor for this team is 9-3. It's all going to be down to how this defense truly plays out and if Drew Allar is that guy. What's your predictions for Penn State? Let me know in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, folks, and like always, have a good day. Peace out.